on time.
Jacima there?
Yes, he's there. He's, he's there.
And let's see. Hey, let's have Rada read this. If it shows up there, there's.
You should record.
Oh, good. Yeah, make sure we record this.
Oh, it's recording now.
Good.
Dear folks of Baba, sometime during my early years with Baba, I inherited from Darwin Shaw a practice of scanning the interior space of my heart. My level of vitality, my mood with its confluence of emotions, and the state of my deeper feelings, my reactions to everything. Darwin would refer to it as tuning into one's inner barometer. I like to think of it as checking in with the inner weather conditions: overcast, sunny, dark clouds on the horizon, a cold spell. And as with everything in my youth, I did it to the extreme. This practice doesn't involve an exploration into the causes of my interior state, which is another topic altogether, but just an overall reading of the heart itself, a scanning of the present moment. Over time, I found I was doing this in and behind everything I was experiencing, often from moment to moment. It eventually became an obsession. I am sharing this with you after many years, and I only recently remembered the 7-word response that came from Erich about this. I thought that maybe this might be helpful to some of you because of what Erich said to me. This exchange with Erich occurred in the mid-1970s. A number of us were sitting in Mondley Hall one morning, and at one point I blurted out, "Erich, all I do all day is monitor my interior, my emotions, my feelings, my vitality, my reactions to what is going on. I cannot not do it. It has become an obsession that I can't stop. What would you recommend I do?" Erich, who was seated on the other side of the hall, asked, "Where are you doing this from?" I circled my hand around the area of my heart. He asserted, "You are blessed to be doing that." This was the last thing I expected him to say. I had been fighting this extreme tendency in myself for years, and here Erich was basically saying to continue it. I felt through his remark that I was being given a green light. And now, rather than fighting this tendency, I embraced it. I thank Darwin for this invaluable practice. A couple of years went by and I found myself pondering, why did Erich say this practice was blessed? He could have just said that it's a good thing to do. Eventually, I discovered this. There is one heart within me, with myself on one side of it and Baba on the other. Whatever I feel deep down is felt by Baba. If I'm sad, Baba in me is sad. If I'm tired, Baba in me is tired. If I am enthusiastic, Baba shares that too. I've realized that focusing on my inner state was a direct focus on Baba, how he feels in me. Previously, I had thought I was just indulging and focusing on myself, not realizing that Baba and I share the same heart. I say Baba in me, but I could also say Baba before me. I would see in his expression that he was feeling exactly what I was feeling. He is not aloof from me. Over the years, I came to realize that Erich said this was a blessed practice because it is actually one of the direct focuses on Baba, just as meditation on his photograph, saying his name, feeling his companionship, or serving him are all direct focuses. Since that time, I have never felt that Baba is somewhere else, aloof from me and from humanity. But he is right here, inseparable from our lives, intimately sharing our experience. As Baba lovers, I'm sure we all have our own version of this practice, checking in with our interior state. What is your unique approach? Nasreen,
Ooh.
Nasreen, you need to mute. You need to mute, Nasreen.
Start that paragraph.
Okay. As Baba lovers, I'm sure we all have our own version of this practice, checking in with our interior state. What is your unique approach of tuning into the heart? How does
Maybe
how did-
Jaysima, can you mute Nasreen?
I don't think he's here.
I think it's Aja. I think it's her son now.
Yeah.
Anyway, how does it help?
Finished.
Nasreen, do you know how to mute your mic? Because we can't hear what Radha's reading.
I muted her.
So,
Good.
Okay, it looks like she's muted now. As Baba lovers, I'm sure we all have our own version of this practice, checking in with our interior state. What is your unique approach of tuning into the heart? How does it help you as you respond to the daily situations you find yourself in? Does it bring you closer to enjoying Baba's companionship, knowing he is right there with you, emotion for emotion, mood for mood, desire for desire? I think we can learn so much from each other with our different approaches. In his love, Jeff.
thank you. Well, I got to make sure. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, beautifully, very touchingly read. Yeah, I got somebody checking in right now. Yeah, of all the times when it rains, it pours, and right outside there's a motorcycle weekend. It's like it's like bedlam, if you ever want to use the word. That this is the appropriate time. So anyway, I just, oh, Bob, someone else is calling me. Just a second. Hey, Mark, I'm on Zoom. So I can't talk, okay? Well, it'll be in an hour and a half from now or more. Yeah. But okay, yeah. Yeah. Yikes. Wow. But I want to just say that, I write these, emails and I try to keep them under a page because, how much can you actually read? So I never really cover all the different points. And, and in this particular thing, so I'm only able to touch on a few things, but in this, in what Radha just read, I realize I need to make a little more emphasis on how we mistakenly let our feelings separate us from Baba. And this is something I did for many years. That is, when I was troubled by jealousy or disturbed by injustice, hassling with stage fright. I found it impossible in those early years to really imagine that Baba would share these negative emotions with me. I mean, after all, he's God and he's aloof from all our petty emotions. But, that I felt he was outside my feelings, especially these negative feelings. But thanks to Darwin and Jean, I came to see that these feelings and emotions are not separate from Baba. he is experiencing them with me. And so since then, I've never feel separate from Baba, no matter what I'm feeling, because I know that he's right here feeling them with me. So anyway, anybody want to venture out into the high seas of this subject? I mean,
Martha?
I do, Jeff.
what's that?
I
Oh,
do.
good.
Well, I just had one thing. It's short, but so I was trying to figure this out yesterday and today, and I thought, well, okay, so I just closed my eyes and I tried to figure out what I was feeling, and I thought, okay, I'm feeling sad. Okay, so Bob is feeling sad in me, and I realized that it doesn't really matter what I'm feeling because I'm thinking of Baba. So this became a practice not about scanning myself, but I was thinking of Baba feeling in me. So then it was kind of a trick, that you said scan yourself, but then I realized by scanning myself, I'm thinking of Baba more. That's all.
Yeah, good. No, and your feelings are reminding you of Baba.
Baba in me.
Yeah, rather than just reminding you of yourself and your own kind of
Drama. Yeah,
dysfunction
right.
or whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the beautiful thing. One thing that Erich that I thought was so beautiful, he said, the purpose of creation is to remind us to remember God. Even if it's just lousy feelings or, upset, that they can remind us of Baba, or they can remind us of ourselves, however we want to go with it. Did you guys get everything?
Yeah, we're good.
We're staying.
And do you know where you're staying? Okay. Yeah,
You know what, yeah.
good. See you tomorrow. Yeah, when it rains, it pours. Anyone else want to, but that's beautiful what you said. This thing that came from Erich and from Darwin has just been immensely helpful to me my whole life. Because if you can feel that what you're feeling is Baba, then you never feel like he's somewhere else. He's with you. But yeah.
Tony?
Okay. There must be a lot of different things I could say about this, but the one thing that came to mind was back in '93. I had split up from my daughter Clara's mother. We were definitely apart, and I really wanted that kind of intimate relationship in my life. But I was kind of going about it a way that wasn't working, and I was watching myself pushing away what I was going for, and I was at the same time pushing it away. And I happened to be on a UN. The UN sent me to Vienna to cover the conference on human rights, and the week prior, Don Stevens had what he called a seminar, a Baba seminar at Lake Balaton, Hungary, and he shared about how at the end, Don never revealed up until then that I know of much about his inner life, personal life, but he did suddenly at this very last talk. He said that over the years with Baba, he had surrendered everything except his sex life and his finances, and he had said, I'll handle those, Baba. I can take care of those. And recently they had just gotten so out of hand that he said, I turned them both over to Baba. And without going into detail, he said Baba had just stepped in and worked out everything in ways that he never, ever could have possibly worked out on his own. So there's a lot that happened on that trip. And then I went and I did my 1-week conference in Vienna, and I came back to New York. And I was back faced with this same desire and plight. And I looked at Baba's picture, and I think it was the Don't Worry, Be Happy poster. And I decided I was going to have a man to God man talk. And I expressed best I could what I wanted and what I saw myself doing. But where it really hit as a prayer was, and I said, Baba, like I knew I couldn't explain. And I said, you are in me. You are feeling everything that I'm feeling right now. I can't put it into words, but you know what it is. And I said, you pick her, no conditions. And then I gave a little condition, sort of, but without going into what is in itself a very wonderful story. He definitely created this relationship, and not only, and it was everything I thought I wanted, everything I felt I needed, but it wasn't. But he kind of gave me a taste of what I thought I needed, and it exploded within about 6 months. It exploded and left me face to face with my own inner being. And then over the course of coming to know myself, 3 years later, Zeke and I connected, and that was how he had answered that prayer. It was an awful lot of work. But I'm bringing it up here because it was that kind of thing that you're talking about, Jeff. I just basically said, you're in me. I know you're you're feeling this. You're suffering this. You're having this anxiety about. I put it in your hands. You know what I need. You know what I need better than I do. And so that was one occasion that I very well remember doing that. But I do that all the time, I think, now.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Excellent, great example. Yeah. What about these ladies way off in LA?
Jay Bubba, everyone. When I read this, I thought to myself that, like the old Terry, the Terry prior to her deep connection with dearest Baba, that I felt as though the emotions were talking in my head, not from my heart. And it was like chattering. And I can't say I'm 100% pure of that now, but a lot, mostly I'm in my heart. And that's, instead of it going on in here, I talk to Bubba instead. And I listen, I feel the answers, and he helps me when I'm suffering, and he's there when I'm happy. And he, I've always wanted to be able to speak to people in a way that was very loving and kind, even if you give an action, for someone to do. Radha does it beautifully. I just love when she gives. It's always so kind and tender with her voice. And that's how I feel Bubba talks to me, It's not like he's angry at me or anything. He's just hangs with me. So I just wanted to share that. So, Jay Bubba.
I'll since we're unmuted. I suffer from spending too much time with thoughts, and I have it can paralyze me. And the concept of going down the rabbit hole is something I just know all too well. And a couple weeks ago, I tripped and fell, and my face met pavement, and that's kind of it felt very representative to me. And the next week, it was stop in the head was really what it was, because I didn't fall on my torso and my heart. I fell on my head. And the next week we had arrived in Mexico, and I realized that a couple things that had been spinning in my head about relationships had lifted, and I could only feel love. And so the idea of spending time being consumed with my heart took on a whole different, when Jeff, you wrote this, once again, eloquent weekly email, and you just hope that people will, you know, when you throw out your fishing line, you'll get a few takers. So I want to thank you for being the kind of human being that excavates his own soul to the levels that you do, and you spread that wonderful non-disease amongst us all. Jai Baba.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, like I say, I can thank Erich and Darwin that so much came from them, and inquiring about the internal life from them. They were immensely helpful. Anyone else? Hey, we don't have Ronnie Greenstein to, know what he's doing. He's probably doing something on Memorial Day.
Yeah, he's at Marana.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He has a good hall pass.
Anyone else? Does anyone? Oh, good. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, are you referring? I'm sorry, Jeff. I meant to just wave in and jump in. Is that all right? I didn't go through the chat.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to share. Yes, years ago I would respond to things that happened to me, right? And it was always Gohar that I would focus on, until the one day when I was at my very lowest. And I think I've shared this with you folks before, that something miraculous happened. And Baba literally told me in front of me, remember, I am always with you. And that was my moment of realizing how close Baba is to me. Not how close he is, but how he is within me, as you say. And from that moment, I, after giving everything to him, realized that whatever I go through, I mean, my focus in thinking when I was going through things changed from thinking about focusing on me to focusing on Baba, that whatever I was going through was actually Baba going through it. And when that understanding came into me, it just made life so much easier, because every time something would happen, I would just think, this is Baba experiencing this along with me. And that made that experience so much more easier to deal with. And of course, my focus being on Baba all the time. I also found recently I've been reading Arnavaz's book, The Gift of God, right? And something that I read here, I think would help us to understand better. I think when we gain understanding, the heart can grow so much more. So it says here, Baba referred to understanding as the most precious attribute of love, the divine fruit of pure love, the rare flower of the universe. He bestows this flower in response to our wholehearted efforts to please him, accepting all that he gives us and always seeking his wish and will. The understanding that Baba gives comes from the heart and illuminates the mind having no capacity to gain this kind of understanding on its own. Too much reasoning complicates and confuses us, as one question leads to another endlessly, without the clarity which the heart brings. As Baba told us, the mind has its place, but not until the heart has had its say. Baba has given us the mind to use for our everyday lives, but in the game between the lover and the beloved, it is the heart, not the mind, that prompts the lover to please the beloved. If we use our minds to rationalize and justify our desires and actions, we miss the opportunity to understand from the heart. But if we acknowledge our weaknesses and ask beloved Baba to awaken us to his ways, we learn from our mistakes. As Baba reminded us, only when the mind accepts its ends and values from the deepest promptings of the heart does it contribute to the life of the spirit. Jai Baba.
Wow, save that, because that might be something beautiful to read at the very end.
I have a quote, yes.
Summation of, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Beautiful.
thank Jai Baba.
Yeah. Thank you, Goer. Go ahead, Sharon.
Hello, Jai Baba. I'm very grateful for this group and also for the RT before this evening, because I was feeling, for some reason, some of these long holiday weekends, I usually don't have any kind of PTSD, but sometimes it comes up from when I was a child in children's home and I wasn't able to visit with my folks when the other kids could. And so something happened in the RT where I felt something like, Jeff, what you all have been talking about, I felt that in the RT with Baba, and I felt some sense of happiness that I went through that suffering as a child, because I could also feel simultaneously in the RT before this today, before this gathering, that I was, how again I was reminded it helped me to pray in the early childhood years and helps me now to have faith. So I sort of was feeling now, well, you're all my friends here, as if it were my inner child being so happy to be at this gathering. And then I also thought of Baba's visiting an orphanage in India in the 60s, and the photo some of you may have seen of him. And that really struck me when I first saw that online a few years ago. So I'm just kind of celebrating that he seemed to become one with me. And then you read that, Radha, of Jeff's writing. So, and I'm very grateful for everyone's responses here and the feeling of love here. I just feel he's bringing me to a deeper understanding of those years. And I thank you all, Jai Baba.
Yeah, thank you. And what you're looking at are part of your support group for the next 700 years. We'll be there. Well, we're going to be helping each other out. This isn't the first time we've been together, I'm certain. Yeah. Anyone else? Oh, good. Are you able to hear Jaysima?
No.
Jaysima, turn your volume up a little higher.
Okay, sure.
So, Marion, are you going or am I going?
Oh,
it doesn't matter to
go
me.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm so grateful for this topic tonight. It's given so much to me. I am in a time in my life, you could call it welcome to retirement, because retirement really isn't at all what you thought it would be. I have a grandchild now that lives very close, that's 2 years old, and then I have a grandchild that's 2 months old. The 2-month-old grandchild has difficulty sleeping at all through the night, has very bad colic, and the 2-year-old is a constant mover. And I'm really trying to support my son and his family because they're really challenged now. So Baba has me, and then also in the past month, my other son got married, and then there was a wedding event in New York and a wedding event here. And I looked at this month of April and I thought, how, as a 76-year-old, am I going to be able to do all of this? But it was only by me saying, well, I'm doing this with Baba, all of these are just opportunities to love. So just try to stay in the moment. And if you have to take a day and sleep all day, then do that. Or get up and cook some food for the kids and then run around with the 2-year-old for 2 hours. And just being so physically exhausted and yet feeling Baba so much in that. And of course, it made me feel, I've thought so much about the mandali and about the lot, how he just always kept them hopping. And Jeff, I remember you talking about how, you know, when everybody would leave, there was total silence. And, you know, today, at Marizad, they would be so exhausted. You know, they would just wanted quiet. And that's what I wanted to do today, was just work in the garden and be quiet. And so I think what gets me through is doing all of this with Baba in me, beside me, for him. You know, if I'm cutting up carrots for the soup, whatever it is I'm doing. And it helps me also get out of those times when I want to say, hey, what about me? Doesn't somebody, who's going to take care of me? Well, Baba is. He's in me. So that's why I really appreciate this topic tonight.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Oh, thank you, Radha. I refer to this era of my life as, you know, composting. I'm in the process of composting. No. Okay.
Yeah, Marian.
Is that Marian? It's
Yeah.
hard to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And thank you for everyone sharing. So I was kind of puzzled what I would share, you know, what my journey has been and what I'm doing now. So it could be brief. And that is when I came to, when Baba grabbed me back in 1968, I didn't get to a lot of Baba meetings because I had little kids. And, but anyway, there was a friend that I'd made and came over one day and I said, you know, when I'm at the Baba meetings, I noticed there's people there who are angry with each other and they're smiling at each other. And I said, maybe we would have a little circle come to my apartment and be a little bit more forthcoming, not mean, not dumping anything, but could be a little bit more honest with one another. And so I went away to visit my family in the Midwest. And when I came back, this friend came over and said, he had a little piece of paper, says, guess what? I found a group. So he found an organization that had process groups where you learned how to process your feelings and everything. And so that opened up a lot for me. And that was like the beginning of an opening because I was afraid to ever express any kind of, you know, anger or disappointment or anything to anyone else. And so being in those process groups liberated me, but then it showed me my path was to get trained in all of that energy work because that became my profession, was, you know, transformational counseling. So moving forward then over the years, I've done everything. I've done every kind of process there is as far as trying to release the lower self, embody the higher self and so forth. So that brings me to the present. And if I say something Baba said, it's a paraphrase, but something I was reading recently where Baba said something about after you've dug up everything kind of psychologically and explored everything, then all you have to do is recognize it and give it to him. And it will automatically transform. And I got what he said. So I do that a lot. So I have little kind of games I play. And one is that I separate out human Marian from spiritual Marian. And we have a dialogue with each other. And so human Marian usually complains and is belligerent and doesn't want to step into the void of the new creating into the void and doesn't want to go there. And so I listen from my higher self. I listen to her. I don't correct her. I don't criticize, none of that. I listen and create an empathic connection. And that's where my training in nonviolent communication comes in. I am empathic toward her, not critical, nor does she have the power to take over. So I separate out those two, and it helps me have empathy toward the me that is sort of slogging along and in kind of the darkness, and that other self takes my hand and we do something kind of fun together or nice together that I'm able to do. So I kind of go back and forth with those two. And that's where I am right now. It's been through those many years of many tools, many things to help me connect with Baba as my best friend and also have an empathy toward this human self. And so I do a little psychodrama with it. Yeah.
Good, very clear, very helpful. Yep.
Rick?
Yeah.
Well, this is a very difficult topic. I think you've exposed it pretty clearly, Jeff. And Goher's quote really was apropos. But like Radha, Marion, composting Jeff, and Bob, and a bunch of us here, Goher. I'm at that point in life where once I fought relinquishing any role I had in the world, anything at all. And so I had a lot of skills, you know, halfway built my house and was a mechanic as well. And that allowed my mind to be occupied in creation. And then, of course, what comes along later is debilitation, you know, slowing down, blah, blah, blah. And just not, now I've finally come to a point where I'm not interested much in creation anymore. And this is really tough because that was how I got by. That was my Hershey's chocolate bar fix, you know, I could get by on that. And now I don't really have that. So I'll go mow the yard, but now mowing the yard is a chore and blah, blah, blah. So the point of this is really getting back to your thoughts, Jeff, that process. I experience it as either I'm really, really thinking about Baba, either I'm really focusing on Baba, or I'm lost wandering around in my own mental activities or something, you know, whether it's watching a TV show or, I mean, like I go to the refrigerator and Baba's face is on the freezer right up there. So I go to reach in and all of a sudden it's as if Baba looks at me and says, "Hey, what about me?" Because all I'm interested in is getting another Coke. And it's like, oh my God. So this is the long haul. I think you're right, Jeff. I feel like it. But I'm composting too. I'm joining the club.
Yeah, good. And you'd work really well in a vegetable patch. You know, that's where, yeah, you know, some people are, you know, destined for ornamental gardens. Okay. Oh, good.
Dan, Terry.
So we've been away, and one of the last half of our trip was in Cancun, and we were meeting up with a whole group of friends that came into my life when I came out as a gay woman like 40 years ago. And we all met up at a lesbian event. And the interesting thing is that these people, the majority of the ones that Diane and I interacted with, are very high up in the Metropolitan Community Church, which is a church for all
Christians,
for everybody, you know, or people, but it's gay and bi, you know, it's for all the letters, as I say. And I was realizing as we spoke that, like, when I was a kid, being a Jew, you know, I've shared this with you that, like, Jesus was made out to be like, we killed him. And so there was always like, I could never like really warm up to it. And now that I have Baba and I'm with these women who are just such stories and such experiences, it was so loving and kind and beautiful. It doesn't really matter in a lot of ways. You know, it was like, I was listening about Jesus, and now I just heard their stories around Baba. And what I was the most grateful for was that I know God now in my lifetime, even though I didn't physically meet him. And the way he spoke and his language, I can feel inside of me, and I can't get as touched by the readings of the Bible or of Jesus as I can of Baba. And I had it's like, I don't know, we're just so lucky, is all I can say, so blessed to have each other through Baba and these lives that we have. Not that there isn't suffering. I mean, I was in bed for 2 days. I couldn't keep anything down or in, or it was terrible. And here I am in Cancun, and I'm in my bed, in the hotel room. But people came to see me and give me love and send me things to help me. And so even through the difficult stuff, Bob is right there loving you, more than loving you. It's unbelievable to me. And I'm just in my gratitude big time. Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah. There's a beautiful quote I've shared, a Sufi mystic, where he says, "As long as I feel you here inside me, I cannot say I'm suffering." You can go through a lot of suffering, but if you feel Baba with you, it's such a privilege. Oh, yikes, I got a bad back. I really wrecked my back today. Oh, okay, I'm good. Okay, any other brave souls?
Bob.
Well, yes, Jeff, thank you for it. Your letter was really helpful to me because I find that now that I have so much time to spend on my own, I don't have things to occupy myself anymore. Rich brought this up as well. And a number of us have. So I find that feelings are such an ephemeral thing. Feelings can change just walking from one room in my house to another room. It's like, what I don't even have words for them sometimes. I mean, it's just they come and go, and it has nothing to do with thought. They're just feelings. So the idea that keeping in mind that, okay, Baba is feeling this too. Baba is with me, feeling every bit of whatever these feelings are. Baba is here, and that was very helpful to me. So thank you. That's all I've got.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is you never feel separate from Baba. He's as long as you have feelings and you tune into them, you're always with him, and he's not somewhere else. Just over there in another state like Pennsylvania, feeling those people.
Yeah, right.
He goes to Colorado. Okay, good. Mary, you might not be able to hear his voice. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. All right, wait a minute. I'm going to pin you. Say something, Jeff.
Hello. Yeah.
Right, let's see.
But we can hear you fine.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure. I was asking Bob, well, first of all, I came in a little bit late and I missed your letter. It came in a few minutes.
In fact, if you want to get those emails, JCMA will put on there something maybe on the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can share me your email, Mary.
Okay, I can give you my email. All right.
Good. Yeah. Great.
So anyway, so I was asking Baba as I've been listening, Baba, is it really important for me to share? And, what's the point of me sharing? Is it something about me that I want people to know about me? yeah, it was kind of hard because what's coming up that I want to talk about is okay, so I'm 72 and I have no income right now and I don't have very much money and I'm having a lot of health issues that prevent me from really being able to do much. And at the same time, I'm trying to move forward some of because I'm actually trained as a coach, a life coach. And so I'm trying to move forward with some of that. And a lot of the connections I've made haven't worked and I'm living in a new place and I don't know a lot of people, just a lot of things like that. I'm not trying to say poor me, but what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that being in this situation and really having physical a lot of physical fatigue, a lot of stuff's going on with my heart and palpitations, and I've been to the doctor and I'm on medication and that sort of thing. But that Baba is really asking me to trust him. And it's really been that way for several years, actually, right before COVID, because that's when I also lost alimony. And I never really developed, a business or a career. I was always a working mother, working like doing some catering or working a little bit part-time or whatever. But I was at home with the children and I homeschooled them and, I was very busy, but I wasn't making money and I didn't develop a career and all that. So, when the marriage ended, I had to kind of find my way and I did a pretty good job, but I never developed anything where I was making, a good income. I was always dependent on alimony. And then for various reasons, that was something that I lost. And then COVID happened and there wasn't much I could do in that situation. So, I would have to say that from the time, probably a couple of years before COVID, this whole needing to really trust Baba. I mean, it's sometimes I felt like he was not in a mean way, but kind of putting my face in it, and then having financial insecurity, which is such a material world anxiety that can really get you, especially if you're an older person. And Baba has really helped me by, it almost seems like having nothing that is taking my attention by the fact that I'm working all the time and I am bringing in money and all of that I feel like would be taking my attention away from Baba, and he's got me in this situation where not much is going on around me. And so in a way, even though I could be worrying, I am not worrying that I don't have money. And every once in a while something happens and my brother-in-law will deposit some money into my checking account because he's very generous and out of the blue. And I'll just say, Baba, you're just taking care of everything. You're keeping my head above water, and I'm doing okay. And I don't know what the future is going to bring. And I don't know how I'll be, taken care of in the material world when I'm 78, when I'm 80, when I'm 85, if I live that long. And I can't really think about that. It's right in the moment. And so it's like, I have the luxury of taking Baba's name as much as I want to. There aren't a lot of things that are taking my attention. What am I trying to say? I don't know what else I'm trying to say. It's just that I'm not anywhere where I expected my life to be. And it's just, I guess I've lost the words. I have nothing else to say.
No, no, beautiful though, really. Beautifully expressed. You know, Baba's sister Mani used to say, I prayed to, this is, you know, she's there beside Baba her whole life.
Yeah,
She said, I prayed to you for strength to carry out your work. You gave me weakness so I would depend on you.
yeah.
You know, so we think it's a terrible thing, but I mean, you're thinking of Baba. You know, you could have a corporate job and all that and completely say
Lots
Baba's
of
name once
money,
every
lots of
2 weeks.
money.
Yeah, and saying Baba's name once every 2 weeks, you know, but
Right.
instead of like, I know, and I mean, the beautiful thing is you'll make it to your 80s or 90s, you know, no matter what you've been through. You
Yeah,
know, it's not
yeah.
like you're going to starve.
Right. And that's the other thing, you know, is that um I am under the impression, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that as his lovers, Baba's really taken care of us. And I'm not gonna be on the streets.
Yeah, no,
You know,
it's
that some things will work out somehow.
beautiful. No, that was very touching.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Jai Baba.
yeah, Jay Baba. Beautiful. Anybody else?
This is Marion. May I just make a quick one
Yeah.
sentence comment? Um, because I said I'm letting go of a lot of things in my apartment and all that. And sometimes I've said to Baba over the years, because I'm in New York City and we have a lot of people sleeping on the street and sleeping on the church steps. And sometimes I say to Baba, I just want to sleep on the church steps and get rid of everything and be out there and 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 go to the food pantry to get food. And it's been so fun to do that with Baba, and knowing that I'm taken care of and that I really true want to let go of everything that I'm attached to. So I sometimes play that game. So you just sparked that in me, you know, like, hey, I want to sleep on the church steps and not have to deal with an apartment. So anyway, Baba has a good sense of humor with that. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, anyone else that, let me just see who's here. Some of our,
Rich.
I'll go for round two. Um, you know that today I received news from an old Denver Baba friend that her granddaughter, who was very successful, cute little personality, very well adjusted, but evidently she contracted Lyme disease a few years ago, and now she is so debilitated that they've given up hope on a U.S. cure. So she's going to go to Germany on a GoFundMe. But it got me to thinking about, here she is at the very beginning of her life, you know, at the very beginning of her youth, at the very beginning of every opportunity that's been before her. She had to quit graduate school, quit her job, move in with dad and mom, and deal with Penelope, I think is the word of suffering, you know, of just everything. And she's the granddaughter of one of my closest friends who's no longer with us. But it really got me to thinking that, you know, we seem to ride right on that precipice, you know, right on that precipice of thinking we are somebody. I am somebody. But for me, I know that I'm really nobody. I'm good compost. I'm not bad compost. But other than that, I'm just floating along in the universe. Well, thank you.
it's better when you're vegetarian.
Yeah, well,
Make better
thanks.
compost.
I don't eat too much. Yeah, me.
Peter. Peter.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to try and pull this off while I'm driving because I'm on a mission. And when Marion was talking about the homeless, I'm going after a homeless friend of mine. And I'm realizing that if I find her, I'm in over my head, and it's one of these times when life will never be the same. I have a question. And by the way, I'm going to go over a beautiful bridge. I don't know if you all want to try. No, I don't think I can give you a glimpse. When Gohair, just be a question for Gohair. When I was listening to what Gohair read, and it reminded me of what Erich wrote in his book on the subject of tact, where he talked about the 10 commandments. I hope there's 10. I hope I'm getting that right. The 10 commandments, and how we break the commandments, and we know we are, and the knowing gets deeper and deeper until we finally reach the point where we can't break them anymore. And no one tells us not to. We make the decision on our own. And Eric said that the way that we do it is through our intelligence. I'm thinking that we think the situation through, and when we make the decision, when the evidence weighs heavy enough, we make a cognition, we decide, and then there's spiritual awakening. And I'm wondering, there's a friend of mine, a spiritual mentor, that said we don't make these decisions through our intelligence, but although he's very smart, he doesn't reverse engineer things like I do. I'm wondering, Gohair, if you wouldn't mind either yay or naying this, where is the way Erich describes it in his book underneath tact with the 10 commandments, if this is the same way decisions or change or transformation is made relating to the literature that you just read. And I will pass the mute and listen for a bit. I'm arriving close to my destination.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He was going in and out. I couldn't really pick up everything that you said, Peter. So if you could restate your question, maybe I'll try to answer.
Yes, ma'am. I will take my video out. And to summarize it, when listening to what you read about transformation, Erich also talks about how transformation happens in his book Under Tact when it comes to the 10 commandments. He talks about how we all know we're breaking the rules. However, the inner knowing gets deeper and deeper. I just read it while I was driving, where our inner knowing gets deeper and deeper until we finally come to the point where we cannot disobey any longer. And he said we make the decision by using our intelligence. So it seems to be that the change happens by the mind coming up to the conclusion by weighing evidence, and then the psychic change happens. And the reading you did made a reference to going deeper within ourselves to make the decision. And I'm wondering if you know if it's the same, whether what you read and what Erich said is basically the same, just said in different ways. Is that clear to you?
Yes, I think it is, because it's like when the understanding comes from the heart, then the mind is awakened to respond in a more appropriate way. I think that's where that's what it is. The understanding has to come from the heart, and Baba is the one to give us that understanding. So if we implore him to awaken our spirit to that understanding, then it's the heart that always will prompt the mind to think the way it should.
Excellent. Excellent.
I hope that's clear.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'll have to I'll have to review. I came up with the
We lost you, Peter.
Yeah. Peter, you're breaking up very badly. We cannot hear you.
He's speaking a different language. Mongolian.
He's speaking in tongues, they call it.
It's a possibility. God.
Peter, we missed.
Okay, I thought you don't know what that means. Maybe you can tell me at one time, Tony.
Yeah, we missed. You were breaking up so badly. We missed you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I may be. I'm driving around and I'm in front of a shelter right now, and all of a sudden, I guess maybe it dropped out. I pulled over to see about reading that part about tax. I would like, did I go out again?
You're kind of in and out.
All right, I'm trying a different parking lot. If I can get clear, would it be helpful?
Oh dear.
Peter, I think come back in later. Peter, I think come back later, and we'll try it again. In the meantime, we'll go on to Tony there. Yeah.
I don't think I was next. I think Sabine.
Okay, yeah, Sabine and Johannes.
Okay, so I find that, you know, when you grow up in a Catholic family, a year before you take First Communion, you have this intense year of training, and one of the things you learn is how to go to confession. And I was 8 at the time, and I never understood that nonsense. You know, why would I tell a person what I've done when God is with me all the time? I mean, you know, why? God knows what I'm doing. Why do I need to go to confession? Was such a nonsense to me, you know, never understood that. And when I did Effort and Grace and we came to that practice, I thought, okay, I got part of it right, but I didn't get the part that God really lives it through me, that he experiences what I experience. And then for a year now, I've been doing the practice of scanning my interior and also giving everything to Baba. And then, you know, that works for a while. And then I sort of, life gets in the way. I forget all about it. And I stumble across one of the pictures of Baba. And I think, oh yeah, how was that interior? How am I doing? And, you know, and every time I come to a meeting here, I find I get a little bit more understanding. Like, Goa, your sharing was so helpful. And I thought, I got a bit more of this puzzle of understanding it. So thank you all.
I want to agree totally that this was so helpful, what you told us, Jeff and Goa. It's a totally new understanding for me, at least. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And we're going to have Goa read that again at the end, because that was so apt.
Yeah.
So perfect. Yeah. We got Tony again.
Okay. Lower my hand. So I've been listening and enjoying this and feeling an urge to share something more, and not having anything to share. And I actually was saying, Baba, is there any? It's not like me, you know. I said, is there something else? Because I don't feel there's anything. And what I got was, I guess I was being too rigidly focused on the specific subject of the thing. And Baba just said, just tell them. And so I wanted to share what's been going on. And it does relate to all of this, but some time ago I was invited to be one of the 2 guest musicians at the Spring Northeast Gathering last weekend. And 50 years with Baba, this has never happened before. I know my music touches people, but this was unique. So immediately on some level I was saying, Baba, what's this all about? you know. And on one level, it was what was going to be at the beloved archives. And Nash and I, you know, we go back a long way, and there's some unresolved stuff. And without even going into it. And I kind of got on one level, Baba is like, I'm bringing you there so you can work this out. You can just let it go, both of you. And I thought, okay, fine. And then as I'm preparing, I'm realizing this is going to be a really wonderful show. And am I going to die? I thought, because I have had conversation, I'm 71, and I am distressed by the ailments and the discomforts and the pains and the knee and the possible heart. I had a heart attack a few years, and I've talked to Baba about, like, you know, don't just surprise me, just don't come on me under that. Like, I want to know how he's gonna, like, work it out when it's my time. And I suddenly got the idea that, well, it would be a really loving thing to let me go out on a high note. So maybe that's why he's invited me to do this concert. And so the time slot came up, and I had worked it out exactly an hour, and just all these the arc of the songs and everything, and it was perfect. It's the best concert I have ever done in my life. I posted the tape on Zeke videoed it for me, but and the love was flowing, and when it was over, the MC got up and he talked about, look at this, 2 standing ovations, and I hadn't noticed, you know, and I looked like, whoa. And then there was something came up, and instead of just sitting and resting, I got up to see the archive or whatever it was. And suddenly I wound up with pain in my heart, pain on my chest, and then over here. Next thing you know, I'm outside, people are one fellow who's an acupuncturist is checking my pulses, checking the color of my tongue. Maruk says, you better call 911. Wound up in the emergency room. I was fine. I mean, they wanted me to stay overnight, but a point came where all the pain had gone, and I knew it was okay. Baba was saying to go back. But it was just like this whole thing, going through this whole, and at the same time, like, resigning, like, well, if you want to take me now, that's fine, but you know, this stuff I need to do. We've had this conversation. I'm not going to press you on this. It's like, well, your call, whatever you want, but I really don't want to go yet. What else? The other thing, for the last 2 months, there's a building across the street that has 2 vents out to the street, and it has been emitting this sound every 15 minutes all day and all night long. And we tried talking to the super at the building, the manager of the building. We called 311, which is like 911 for services. They sent the Department of Environmental Protection. Nobody was really doing anything. Finally, when I got back from that weekend, we went to, someone had recommended our congresswoman, and the liaison guy in her office took all the information that was on Tuesday. I don't know if it's him or what, but suddenly after, I'm going to wait a few days to make sure it sticks, but for the last 2 days, 3 days now, we have glorious silence, just normal sounds. And it was clear Baba wanted this to be happening, and for us to grapple with it and to do what we could. Baba's smiling here. And then I get back from this whole thing, and I go, they say, if I signed out against doctor's orders, they said, well, then see your doctor or cardiologist as soon as you get back to New York. Well, ever since I got back to New York, my blood pressure is better than it's ever been. But yeah, these age issues, I thought it might be really helpful at some point to have a little group that just talked about grappling with all the weird stuff that you go through with Baba when your body is not behaving properly, when different things come up, and I mean, it's fine to say I'm not a body, but when you're going through that, you feel you are a body. So all right, so I'm just like spread over the map, but I wanted to share because it keeps going back. Oh, one thing, I'll share just one thing that's not me rambling. Nosh at one point shared, it was really he did a meditation, and you don't usually see meditation in Baba groups, but he actually led it really, really well. And at one point, in a talk, he shared about his mother. Baba spent a lot of time with them in Dehradun at one period. And his mother said to Baba that, my mind is just all over the place. And, I don't know what to do about it. I'm doing all things all day long and I don't know what to do. And Baba said, look, it's easy. He said, I'm sure you've read this. I had read it also, but it struck me differently. He said, just when you inhale, just say, Ba. And when you exhale, Ba. But I got, for the first time, it doesn't have to be out loud. And when I got back home, I was trying it, and it's still, I don't know. It was to be with your breath, and I don't really know. Have I started inhaling? Have I stopped exhaling? And I found if I breathe through my nose, it's really easy to just go through the day saying silently, Ba, 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 Ba. And it's so peaceful. And it so lets all the other stuff, like what I've just been describing, just fade away. And I'm sorry, this is totally off topic, but that's what I felt Baba was prompting me to share. So.
No, and the beautiful thing about that is that your breath reminds you to say Baba's name. Because at a certain point, you become aware of your inhale and exhale. So you put Baba on the inhale, on the exhale,
Yeah.
So your breath, it comes through for you.
Yep.
But, I'll tell you about, I've been at the death of a lot of the Baba people. And I'm just digressing a little bit, but when they come up to that moment, they look over at the other side, and so much of their love, their inspiration, their creativity is actually come from the other side and is being expressed on this side. So it's not an unfamiliar territory. They've been living from there their whole life. So it's not 1,000-foot drop off like some people might experience. I remember asking one of my buddies who was moving between the inner realm and the outer realm. I said, Walter, how are things? He said, it is beautiful on this side. You guys are looking at this little stage of production, and I'm back here behind it all. So death is actually, for the Baba people, no, I haven't run into one person who's frightened of death as they get close to it, So because we are living from a deeper place, even though we're only aware of the goods when it comes in on this side. But toward the end, start.
In my case, it's not so much fear. It's about I'm suddenly really aware of all the things that I feel Baba has wanted me to do that I have really been slacking on. And now suddenly there's not a lot of time to get it all done. So, yeah, it's that kind of thing.
In my case, I feel like I used to worry about, I wanted to write the great American novel. Now I don't even have to worry about that anymore. I'm too old. Oh, I'm relieved. Okay, let's go ahead.
Marsha?
Well, this conversation has brought a lot that I want to talk about, so I'm going to try to focus. Number one, I've learned that if I write a letter to Baba with all the things that I'm thinking about, wanting to do or whatever, I make a list and then I leave it and I come back the next day and he says, no, yes, circle this. And he works everything out to the penny. You don't have to think about all of it because it's all illusion, right? And he takes care of everything. So I wrote a couple things, maybe I'll read them because I'm not good. Right now, my brain is scrambled since I've just came back after 5 months living in 3 different places with things all over the place. And what I learned is that To the last plastic bag, he packs everything, takes care of everything, but he beats you up in the process because that's a part of him doing his work through you. He uses us, our bodies to do his work. So I wrote this May 25th. No pain, no gain. Is that true? The pain I'm having eats me through you, submerging the self, a part of life's game. Let self be subdued to give way to the true. No loss, no gain. Embrace pain and dwell on casting it away. You want me to read more, or should I stop? It's kind of corny stuff. Well, I wrote a letter. This is one of my letters. Baba dearest, I write to you as I write to myself. There is no separate you or I, me or he or she. Embrace that there is no separation. Just life's dream. The ocean is vast, endless as the sky, and the universal deep layers of space and time. Timeless, endless space, rhythm and rhyme. Life is sublime, a gift to behold in awe. Embrace the me and you. Together we are we, the one in the many, all colors and hues. There's still more. I got one more page. Well, maybe you don't want to hear all this stuff. It's kind of like, okay. Let me see if there's any. There's one more. Today I was touched because I was, I know that I think we're all feeling the same things about the same time and just worries and fears and whatever. But today I was like listening to the stuff about Prague, and so I wrote, Baba, well, I actually talked to somebody on RT and I was really down on myself because I actually expressed kind of like a little snottiness, and then I realized time for action. My lack of patience has reached a peak to examine and be worked on. You must come down to the level of whomever you are relating to. And I remember you said that, Jeff, about like everybody's not in the same place and we have to be really careful how we talk to people and what we say, because what we say, people, it hurts them, so you got to be really careful about that. And then I was reading Narchwan's Glow because it got lost in the mail, and I never really paid attention much to it, and I was highlighting it, and it says the apples are in abundance to be eaten, ingested, and digested. You each are part of the whole. There cannot be one without the other. Our separateness is a part of our togetherness. The oversoul, all souls remain a part of. No souls are separate. You cannot leave the oversoul. It's a divine ocean. When we are born as a drop bubble, we feel separate just for this lifetime to propel us on our way to freedom from self. So a lot of the big battle is losing yourself, like dying to yourself to find Baba. And I found as soon as I surrendered to God and I really got down on my knees because I fell on all my hands and knees. And after I felt surrendered, I really, really said, okay, I give up. This is it. You're in control. Everything really goes much better that way because he says he takes over. So I wonder a lot. I'm thinking to myself when I see there's all kinds of people. There are people that are poets. There's people that are writers. There's people that are musicians. And people that are very picky about every word that Baba says. And I keep saying, why don't they just go talk to Baba? Because Baba's in you. You don't have to have somebody interpret God for you because each of us has our own relationship with God. So anyway, this is about, I'm done after this because I don't want to go too long. 525, good morning, dear Mayor Baba. The depth of Baba's sacrifice, the anniversary of the shedding of blood in Prague, Oklahoma. His blood flowed into the earth, permeating America. All his work is preparation for future generations when the door begins to close. What we leave behind will be used when meditation and calls to God, and people call to God individually, and collectively when the vibrations begin to fade with time, until God's next advent, 700 to 900 years. God speaks through his silence to our meandering mind. The mind is attracted to the illusion of Maya. Maya sings to us when all we want and do not need, sparkles and diamond lights so bright to bedazzle. So Maya is like really working on us. Like that's all this stuff going on is Maya really. But this is my interpretation, and so I'm not quoting anybody, but I think this is the last thing I wrote. I'm missing people in Myrtle Beach. Nice to see people in real time. Illusion. I can't read my writing. Since it's all up to you and all is illusion anyway, You can't hug a screen. Videos will have to do. Music is uplifting and fill up my cup with this red wine. And I was listening to Serenity, the Serenity thing today. So it's pretty cool. But God gives us everything here, and you can like be fearful and hide under your bed, you know, or go out in the ocean and stick your toe in and take a chance and be happy that we're alive, because it's really good to be alive, you know. And when it's time to go, I was worried, oh, I'm going to be in a hurricane. Today we had a tornado. And I said, well, if he takes me, that'll be quick. So, you know, but I still worry about stuff anyway. So anyway, that's enough.
Okay. Thank you, Marcia. She's got a little bit of everything going there. And she's a very fine artist. Hey, so it's getting kind of late for the elderly here. How about Goer, would you feel like reading that again, that passage?
Yeah,
Eric,
sure.
does Eric, do you have anything that comes to mind at all in all of this?
Maybe next time.
Okay, no, there's no pressure or anything. We're okay. Good. Nice to see you though.
Hey, Jeff.
Mom. What's that?
Jeff, I was trying to go through, I can't find how to raise my hand on here, but this is my first chat of yours I've been on for a number of many moons. And I feel kind of moved to read one of my mom's poems that I just pulled out.
Good,
so
yeah.
if I could do that, this was something that she wrote. She passed away last year, but something she wrote when she was helping to be one of the women that cared for Margaret at Happy House back in the early 90s and before her passing. And I think Margaret, she lived to be what, 95, or she was
96, yeah.
96. So she was 95 when she wrote this, but she would stay the night with her couple nights a week, I think, for many months or a year. So this one seems like it kind of fits with what's being talked about, because it's kind of just very free flowing and takes you back to the night at the center. So I'll just read it. I haven't read it much or out loud at all, so just bear with me, because it's a bit of it feels a bit like a run-on sentence, so I'll try to pause here and there. But my mom's was Beth Rieger at this point, but Beth McKee before that and after that. So it's called On Margaret's Porch Late at Night. Dearest Baba, coming out of hiding as the night congratulates itself for the day gone through, in sounds of wind and ocean and small creatures repeating songs. You. What fury of movement today brings this all about? None. And which thought of doing or being or needing answers to the questions matters now? Your silence must be more lovely than all the conspiring of this beauty of sound. Yet I wonder if this hearing of your inner wish could be more lovely. Margaret sleeping near, and all things swaying your dancer to her sleep. Of course, others too lie back in your voyage and mark the waves crescent white beneath the moon with their bodies. Others, spirits, resign within your ocean's dappling will and breathe the simple sound of your name as the water takes them. Fire, flame, risen body of your name in every breath. The wind only tells what these ones of yours are up to. But of this I am assured, one is near me, nearing sleep. And the wealth of her love for her beloved assigns the tasks of these nearest things. Ocean, starlight, swirling wind. The cricket's song are her voice, calling you.
Beautiful. I know her mother wrote such beautiful poetry. you know, wow. Thank you, Kellyanne. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah. And yeah, you know, just always have one of your mom's poems on hand. Yeah. So Goer, before we have, after this, let's have a few moments of silence.
Okay. Baba referred to understanding as the most precious attribute of love, the divine fruit of pure love, the rare flower of the universe, quote unquote. He bestows this flower in response to our wholehearted efforts to please him, accepting all that he gives us and always seeking his wish and will. The understanding that Baba gives comes from the heart and illuminates the mind having no capacity to gain this kind of understanding on its own. Too much reasoning complicates and confuses us, as one question leads to another endlessly, without the clarity which the heart brings. As Baba told us, the mind has its place, but not until the heart has had its say. Baba has given us the mind to use for our everyday lives, but in the game between the lover and the beloved, it is the heart, not the mind, that prompts the lover to please the beloved. If we use our minds to rationalize and justify our desires and actions, we miss the opportunity to understand from the heart. But if we acknowledge our weaknesses and ask beloved Baba to awaken us to his ways, we learn from our mistakes. As Baba reminded us, only when the mind accepts its ends and values from the deepest promptings of the heart does it contribute to the life of the spirit. Jai Baba.
Beautiful. What page was that? Just
That is the last paragraph on page 37.
okay. Beautiful.
Gift of God.
God. Let's have a few moments of silence. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank all of you. You know what one thing I was thinking about for next week is the possibility is Darwin used to say we are meant to flow. You know, love is meant to flow through us, and that flow is continually being broken by our reactions to one thing or to another, you know, especially to this person or this situation and everything. And, you know, he would say you can flow and still react at the same time, you know, but very often we react to something and then we shrink down to the size of our reaction. So I hope maybe I can write that up and capture as they would, as Darwin would talk about that. In other words, because I once said to him, what is the biggest mistake the Baba lovers are making? And he said, they think of themselves as small and they remain small. Think big. Even Baba used that word, think big, even outside the conventional spiritual box. You know, we are enormous, and yet we're living in just a double wide trailer at most. You know, I'm just joking, but we're much larger than we give ourselves permission to experience. You know, so anyway, I'm going to try to write that up. If you guys, any of you have any thoughts on that, don't hesitate to send them to me. Yeah. Any last minute things to share, or as I say, any small change?
Mary.
Yeah.
If you said, if anybody has anything to add or ask you to send it to, I don't have your email address.
Okay, here it is. It's BABAS.
Wait.
You can
Okay,
easily get it.
BABAS.
JEFF.
Can you put it in the chat? Because I can't understand
Seven.
everything you're saying.
It's Baba's Jeff.
Oh, Baba's Jeff.
At gmail.com.
No, Baba's Jeff 7.
You
Yes.
forgot the
Jeff 7?
Yeah. They
Okay,
got it.
at
Someone
Gmail.
put it down there. Roxanne, I think. Yeah.
At Gmail. Okay, Baba's Jeff 7. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Because, coming up with these topics is, I mean, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to come up with? And we've had about maybe 300 of them. I don't know. No, I couldn't be that many, but it's been a lot of topics. But, and it's really nice to have. Hey, I just, oh, darn it. There was, oh, darn it. There was somebody on and she's no longer there. I'm going to go out to one of my sisters lives in just off the coast of Vancouver, BC, and there was a woman named Anita, who was just on earlier, and she's on a nearby island. So I was hoping, and then I'll be out near Paula Ropa's part of the world, but I'll be about 3 hours north of you, I think. But I'll be on you'll be on Puget Sound, and I'll be on an island also. In it, I think whatever it's called, Straits of Fuca. I don't know, what's the name of that thing that goes up between Vancouver and Vancouver Island?
It's the Strait of Juan de Fuca.
Yeah. Okay. That Baba willing, I hope to be there. See one of my sisters. Anyway, you folks have a good life. And
Jeff, about your letters.
Yeah.
Zeke had just been suggesting to me that you should collect them and publish them as a book. The letters themselves are really very good.
Oh, really? Oh, thank you. I like
Tony's right.
Yeah,
Zeke
that's
is
a great
right.
idea. It's a great idea.
Yes, I'd actually thought about that earlier. Yeah, definitely, because you have great topics, Jeff.
Yeah.
Can be
it
called
would be a
Late
gift.
Night with Jeff letters.
Yeah, late night chat. Yeah, we'll call it late night chats. No, but any topics that you come up with, but I mean, it's not intellectual. I try to keep it experiential.
So
things that people
what
can
were you thinking of again, Jeff? Would you repeat that?
The flow of love.
Oh, okay.
And how our reactions impede that flow. We're meant to flow. That's what. No, I don't mean flow with excitement. Flow with feeling, with loving feeling, and our reactions to our reaction, right and wrong, good and bad, and everything. We stop the flow repeatedly if we're not careful. So it's trying to be aware of that.
And what you said, you asked Darwin about what's the biggest mistake Bible lovers are making.
Yeah.
And it's feeling small, thinking you're small.
Yeah. They
And
think
then
of themselves as
big.
small, remain small. Think big.
Think big. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and Baba himself said that. Use the word big.
Yeah, and what that actually means in this spiritual,
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
I don't know what word I'm looking for, but yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's so I'll see if I can write that up in something intelligible with some quotes.
Well, Baba will do it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean,
He's been doing a really good job up until now, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. My continual prayer is just 4 letters: help. Well,
That's why it's Bubba's Jeff.
That's right.
When I
someone gave
was
that to me.
recent, I've got to tell you this, when I was recently at the center and Will David was there and he had his paintings up.
Yeah.
And he was explaining to me that he's sometimes had this experience with Baba where he's painting, and as he's moving the brush and painting, he's going, help, help, help. Because he's asking Baba to help inspire him.
Yeah. No, Baba gave that, Baba gave that that story of there was one King Mahmud, I think it was, in ancient times, and he had this servant Ayaz, and Ayaz, I mean, he was not a servant; he was a slave, and he favored him over all of his ministers, and they always were jealous of Ayaz. So one day, and this is Bob explaining this, and one day the king put his signet ring on the table, and said, if you can tell me the price of this ring, and it had all these gems on it, whoever can give me the price, I will give it to them. And so the ministers, they talked about it for days and days, and they brought in jewelers, and they tried to get estimates on everything. And no one could satisfy the king. And then until finally, and this Baba story, I'm sure that it, Baba would really get into the story, but anyway, eventually he called Ayaz, and he said, how much is this? How much do you say this ring is worth? He says it's worth nothing unless it's on your finger. And Baba said, you are all nothing unless you have me. So we're kind of potatoes until but that was the story that Baba gave. So putting him on your on your soul, surround your soul with him, and then you're priceless. That was someone, maybe Peter can sometime find that story. It's somewhere. I can't remember where I've read it, but
Yeah, I read it too.
what's that?
Were you asking me or another Peter?
You. If you can find that story, or if anybody can find the story, it's well worth. I mean, just it has a deep truth to it.
If we can ever get access to Harry Kenmore's tapes, he told that story so well.
Oh, really?
And he at the end, he says, Ayaz says, that ring on the table there is absolutely worthless. But should that same ring be found on your finger, it is beyond all price. And that is how you are when you are with Baba, Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Roxanne.
Hi, are we done? Because I was going to reiterate what you just said, or everyone said about you not writing these and Baba taking over. Can I say something, or can I read something real quick, or you
Go
have
ahead. Yeah.
So it's
and just a second. Sanober posted that it's in the book by Bill LePage called "It So Happened." Page 82. Great.
Sorry, I'm just gonna just read my poem, because I used to be on this high that I'm writing poems, and then I realized it's not me. It's called Circle of Delusion, bloating in joy, drowning in pride, moments to soar, thinking it's I. Raising the glass, giving a toast to all who helped me on this crazy past. Thinking it's I writing this poem, thinking it's I making the change. What a fool is this I, forgetting something, forgetting that I is not the source. Branch of a tree in this tiny eye, confusing its life with a landscape of trees. Circles of delusion, on and on, like a Ferris wheel at the children's park. Forgetting when up, remembering when down, that it's all you, that it's all you. It's not I at all. Oh, wait, nor it's you. It's just us as we are one. Sorry, I just read
Beautiful.
it. So.
Keep that on hand too next time you come, because you got to read that again.
Really? No. I just, since the population got less, I got less embarrassed because I'm becoming more of an introvert. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, there
So,
it is.
story of Ayaz is also in That's How It Was, the
Oh,
collection
yeah.
of like Eric
Yeah.
Jesawala's stories.
Oh, good.
Correct.
No, I mean, it was told by Baba, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, folks, it was wonderful seeing all of you, and thank you for sharing in all the different ways.
Feel better, buddy.
Jay
What's
Baba.
that?
Oh,
Jay
my
Baba.
hand needs to
Yeah.
go down. Jay
And
Baba, that's so good.
Sabine and Johannes, we have to give a shout out to them for waking up at 4 in the morning.
Oh, Johannes. Just thank you so much.
Okay, Jay Baba. Thank
Jay
you.
Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Jai Baba.
Good night.
Hey, Baba.
Hey, everybody.
Good night, friends.
Bye.